Welcome viewers. In this video, we are going to start with a design thinking portion. Under this, we're going to see what is creative and critical thinking, what is design thinking, and the design thinking framework. Let us start with the video. Before we start with the video, let us see what we have studied in the last video, right? So in the last video, we have seen about what is capstone project. And if you remember, a capstone project is a multifaceted assignment serving as a final academic experience which requires independent research on a question or a problem and integrates all gathered knowledge to develop a solution. In simple words, it is a project that you start at the starting of your academic journey with your team members and you find a problem and you start brainstorming on that problem on different solutions. And throughout the academic journey, you build the solution, a final solution for the real world problem, right? And you document all of the process and it is called a capstone project. Now, there is something called problem decomposition, which we have also seen in the last video. What is a problem decomposition? It is basically dividing a big problem into smaller chunks and then solving those smaller chunks in order to solve the bigger problem. And there were four steps of this problem decomposition. Step one was to understand and restate the problem. And then step two was to break down the problem into large pieces. Step three was to break down the pieces into smaller, manageable parts. Step four was to code or solve one problem or one small piece of the problem at a time and test it. With this, let us start with our today's topic, that is design thinking. So before we discuss the design thinking, we first discuss these two things, critical and creative thinking. As you have seen in the problem decomposition, it is requires us to do analysis as well as take decision, right, about the problem, that which portion of the problem that you are going to solve. And there, the critical and creative thinking comes. So, what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is ability to analyze a situation and make judgment based on facts and data. And creative thinking is the ability to come up with new ideas or solutions. For example, you are going to watch a movie. Now, before you going to watch a movie, you should select what movie you should watch, right? And if you are a good watcher, then what will you do? You will first go to the internet, search all the movies that are there, and find the movies based on your genre, and then see the IMDb ratings of those movies and the reviews, right? And after seeing that only, you will go to the theater to watch a movie, right? And that is the proper judgment that we have taken based on the facts and the data, right? So there is a chance, there is a less chance of you wasting your time watching the movie. On the other hand, creative thinking is a little different. So the movie that you are going to watch, the that is critical thinking, how which movie you are going to watch. But the movie that you are watching, the filmmaker and all the persons involved in the movie, they are doing the creative thinking. Why? Because in order to make a movie, it is very much important to come up with new ideas. The script in itself is a new. The dialogues are new. And every aspect of the movie is new. So that is where creative thinking comes into the place. So both critical and creative thinking is required in our daily life to solve a problem and to complete your capstone project. It will help you to raise questions, brainstorm ideas, and build solutions. Now, moving on to the design thinking. What is design thinking? So it is basically a user-centric, solution-based approach where we think from the perspective of the user and follow a framework which is non-linear. That means we can go back and forth and then finally build a prototype and test it. That is what design thinking is. Now let us see the design thinking framework. So design thinking framework has five stages. First stage is empathize, second stage is define, third stage is ideate, fourth stage is prototype, and the fifth stage is test. Now, as you can see in the image or the diagram, that there is the arrow going forward, and also there are arrows which are going backwards from each and every step, right? It shows the non-linearity of the framework. That means after empathize, if you come to prototype, then define and then ideate the prototype, then you can again go back to ideate, right? And even after you go to the final stage test, you have tested the product, but you can still go back to ideate, or you can still go back to empathize to the first step, and you can start all the work all over again. So that is the specialty of this design thinking framework. Now let us understand each and every step with the help of a real world example. So let us take the example of traffic jams. In the last video, we have seen the traffic issues during the office hours. So we are going to continue with that problem. So to solve this problem, we are going to follow the design thinking framework. So stage one of the design thinking framework is empathize. So under this, you think about the user's expectations. You put yourselves in the user's shoes and you think about how user will think, what the user will do, what the user will feel, what the user feels about the problem, and what the user says about the problems. And you put all of these things in a systematic manner using empathy map. So what is the empathy map? It is a technique where you have four quadrants and you where each quadrant is having something about the user. Like it is this quadrant is having what the user says. This quadrant is about what the user thinks about the problem. This is about what the user does about the problem. And this is about what the user feels about the problem. A method to gather all the information about the users so that you can better empathize with the user and understand the user expectations. We will study more about this empathy map in our later video. Now, moving on to the second stage, that is stage two, define. So once you have gathered all the details about the user's expectations, then you can start writing or defining the problem statement in a human-centered manner while focusing on the unmet needs of the users. And in this stage, we use something called 5W1H method so that we can better identify the problem. So here we ask six questions. First question starts with W and the last question starts with H. That is why it is called 5W1H. You can see the questions. Who are the sufferers or what is the what can be done? Where the problem seen? When does the traffic occurs or when does the problem occurs? Why the problem is occurring and how to solve the problem. Now, let us map this 5W1 is to our example, that is traffic issue. So here you can see I have created a diagram about all the six questions and also listed out the answers, right? And this diagram I have created with the help of an online tool called Visual Paradigm. Now let us do some hands-on on it. This is the website. So here, if you come to this create new, you will get all the options. And as you can see, I've already searched about 5W1 is. So as you will write 5W1 is, this option will come up and you will click on it. As you will click on it, it will open up a window like this. I've already clicked it, so I'm just going to show you how it looks. So this is a window that has opened up, and here, as you can see, you can select your topic, and all the 5W1 each questions are written here, and you can put the answers here, right? So this way, you can create your you can document all the questions very easily. This also gives you a lot of flexibility about choose the A4 size and print it out, right? And put it in a documentation. Now, moving forward to stage three. Stage three is ideate. Ideate after you uh, decided the problem statement, after you have gathered the data about the users, now you start brainstorming on different ideas on how to solve the problem. And there are some tools that you can use. The first one is brainstorm, where you basically ask where every one is putting up their ideas out loud in a group, and everyone is taking up that idea and adding something more to it. But while brainstorming, we should remember that no idea is bad. Every idea, even if it is not feasible, should be said out loud. right? It requires going wide mentally in terms of concepts and outcomes. So that is what brainstorm is. Second one is brain dump. So what is brain dump? It's more like it's the type of brainstorming where each and every person of the group member um, thinks individually, and after they come up with all their ideas, they give their idea, pass on that idea, write all of these ideas in a piece of paper, and share their ideas later with the larger group. That is what brain dump is. Third one is brain writing. It is also known as individual brainstorming, where the participants come up with all the ideas to solve the problem and then pass on that idea to the another participant. And that participant then again works on those ideas and then pass on to another person. And like this, the process goes on. So this is called brain writing. So you can follow what any of these methods in order to come up with different solutions. So in our problem, the traffic jam, these are the possible solutions that are there. Or you can think about more solutions other than this. So some of the solutions here are listed out, and which are giving alternate route suggestions through digital boards, keep track of the rash driving persons, make some system to clear the areas immediately when accidents occur, announce the traffic areas live so that other people won't drive into the traffic area, or else introduce the intelligent traffic signals. So there can be many more such ideas like this. You have to list out all those ideas in the brainstorming sessions that each and every member of the team comes up with. Now we have came to the stage four, that is prototype. So once you have brainstormed and listed out all the ideas, now comes to the prototype phase, where you can select one or more than one idea and start building a simple prototype of it. Remember, here prototype does not mean building the whole system. It is just a depiction of what the system will look like. For example, if you think about our problem of traffic jams, and the and if you select to implement this prototype of smart traffic signals, then the prototype would might be look like this. So it is just like it is just a poster which shows that how the intelligent traffic signal will work, right? So as you can see, this is a logo of the traffic signal, and it is then it is showing it will this traffic signal will identify the live traffic, and based on that, it will re-energize the timings of the signals, and thus by controlling the traffic, right? So this is just a simple poster that you can make in the prototype stage, and which we can show it to the users to get the feedbacks. So after you have built the prototype, now comes the testing part. Here you show the prototype to the users and you test it and see whether the prototype is worth building or not, right? So in this step, you finally decide whether to move forward to build the project or to build the solution or go back again to the initial stage and start doing it all over again. So in our case, you can show the prototype that you have built. You can show it to your teachers, parents, relatives who usually get stuck in the traffic issues, who usually face the problems, right? And then collect the feedback forms from them and understand whether your prototype will work or not. And we have to also write down the views of the users shared and also the conclusion that you have arrived. So this is all the things that you do in a design thinking mechanism. Starting from stage one to stage five, you build your project, you test it, you build your prototype, you test it. And if the testing is successful, then you start on building the final full-fledged project. If you want to read more about it, then you can scan these QR codes and download the materials by CBSE, and you can read more about the topic. Well, that's it. Thank you.